All right, guys, welcome back. 1776 or bust. So on the table, you see the SP01 Phantom, and this is basically a full-size CZ75, like a tactical, only with a polymer frame. Now, the reason why I'm making this video, and as you guys can tell from the title, is did CZ make a big mistake by, again, discontinuing this gun? Now, there are some people who argue it really made no sense for CZ to come out or come back with this gun because they have the P09 and the P07, which are the two polymer gods of CZs right now of their lines. A lot of people love that P07, which again is a fantastic handgun, and there's a lot of people out there that also enjoy the P09. But I never really liked the P09 that much. The P07, great gun, but the P09 never really did it for me. Now, the history of the Phantom is kind of one it's kind of a weird one, to say the least, because this is actually the second iteration of this model that has come to our shores in the U.S. Way back when, around 2012, 13-ish, CZ actually discontinued this line here in the U.S. because there was a huge demand for this gun back in the Czech Army. So as a result, they stopped exporting them here, and you can no longer find these. So around 2017-ish, CZ USA brought this gun back to our shores, and there were really no changes that you could tell, with the exception of the actual polymer that was being used. The polymer in the older models was not the reinforced polymer that you would find in the P09 and the P07. However, when they sent this back to us in around 2017-ish, they did now have the reinforced polymer that was being used in both the P09 and the P07. So again, this gun has had a kind of an interesting life, an interesting tale in the U.S. because for the most part, the people who've gotten their hands on this gun absolutely love it. Now, if you look at the gun, it has a lot of traditional lines to it, just like the CZ75 line, which I think is what appeals to me so much about this firearm per se, because I, again, am a huge fan of the P01. And the P01 to me ergonomically is one of the best feeling guns I've ever felt or shot. And to me, this is the masterpiece of CZ. However, with that being said, the Phantom is also quite a very good choice. Now, if you were to compare this to a P09, what you're going to find is that they are strikingly similar in a lot of different ways. This one weighs just slightly less. I think it's about 0.05 in regards to its weight versus a P09, but the height, the width, the length is a little bit longer on this gun. But nonetheless, it's basically the same dimensions of a P09. But I think the reason why CZ made a mistake was because, to me, this is the better bargain of the two. Price-wise, yes, you may pay a little bit more out of the box for a Phantom when they were available. However, what you're really getting is a gun that you can be used with a lot of other alternative magazines. For example, you can buy any CZ75 magazine for a full-size CZ, and it will actually work in this gun. So you guys know, if you're looking for these magazines, they're super, super cheap, especially the Mec-Gar ones. And to me, that was always a winning combination for this particular firearm, whereas the P09 mags are a little bit more expensive, not by much, but still more of a costly magazine. Again, you know, the P09 many people love. Again, I never really particularly cared for that gun. However, it doesn't mean it's a bad gun. It just means that this gun for me works a little bit better just because of the ergonomics. Again, you don't have necessarily that big pronounced hump in the back here, but at the same time, the gun actually does have a very, very good classic feel to it, such as the P01s, the PCRs, the full-size CZ75 line. And I think that's what was always the winning solution for me on this handgun. So did CZ make a big mistake? In my opinion, yes, they did. I think they should never have discontinued this line. I can understand there being a huge demand back in the Czech Army, back in the 2012 era. However, in 2020, I think this was still a really good firearm, and a lot of people actually enjoyed shooting this gun. You know, it does have a full-size grip, but again, the grip isn't so huge or long that you can't conceal this gun, because it can be concealed. You also have the decocking lever, which again might be the downfall of this, the fact that it does not have the Omega system in there, so you can't switch this to just a safety. That's the word I'm looking for. So in this case, you do have the decocking lever only. Again, it's not ambidextrous, so again, that could also be another problem with this handgun. And I know there are a lot of people who complain about this hook trigger with the supposedly flat-faced Omega trigger, and I'd ask that you look at that trigger carefully. It is actually not flat-faced. There is a slight curvature at the bottom of that Omega trigger, so I would call it almost like a semi-flat trigger. But nonetheless, some people don't like the shape of this trigger because of that hook, and I can understand that as well. I think overall, CZ made a big mistake. I think they made a mistake because this gun still has a lot to offer the market. I mean, the ergonomics of the gun are fantastic. The style of the gun is very good. I mean, it's not a very difficult gun to manipulate slide wise. And again, I think the trigger is fairly good. Yes, you do have a long take up on that that double action, but that's to be expected. It is a hammer fired gun, and there's a double action, single action. This, I did put an M-Carbo spring kit in it. It does wonders to this trigger. It's a nice smooth take up, and you can see that the break goes right to the back, but it's extremely short once you reach that wall per se. Here's your single action, which is right there. There's some slight movement after that, but not much. Again, this is an aftermarket spring kit, so it has improved the feel of the double single action on this gun. And then there's your single action break. So overall, this has been a fantastic gun for me. This is going to go nowhere. This stays in the collection for good because to me, the Phantom is the best polymer CZ75 that they've made. Now, some may argue the P09 is better. I humbly disagree. I still think the Phantom is a better show. So tell me what you think below. Did CZ make a mistake? Which one do you prefer? Have you had any experiences with the Phantom lineup? Or do you really like that P09? Can't wait to see what you guys have to say. I hope you have a great night. Stay safe. And as always, everyone, freedom is never free.